Good afternoon, everybody. We are back. Nashtaters and I, who you met Nashtaters earlier in the stream, we're going to be sitting down with Christie Cate, who is the voice actor of Ayaka. Christie, how are you doing?
Wonderful. How are you guys?
I'm doing pretty good. It is a really fun day here. I wanted to ask you, of course, first, before we get started, like we have with all the other voice actors, where can we find you? Where can we get a hold of you? Can we find your work?
I'm on mainly Twitter and TikTok, just my name, Christy Kate VO. I keep contemplating making more social channels. As far as like interviews go, I do have a YouTube account called Inside the Voice Actors Booth. I do have an Instagram. I don't post on there as much as I probably should. But yeah, those would be my social channels. It's all just Christy Kate VO, with the exception of Inside the Voice Actors Booth on YouTube.
And then you actually have a whole web page too, right? With all of that on there.
I have a link tree. If you go to my website, christykate.com, I think it's all there.
Yeah, yeah. That's the one we have linked so that everybody can find everything for you. I'm going to start off
Okay.
really broad. What got you started on voice acting?
As a child, I loved characters and I loved imitating them. So for me, I would play my Nintendo 64, and I fell in love with the end of the game, like Princess Peach, spoiler alert, would say something like, Mario, all the stars, and what did she say? The power of the stars has been restored to the castle, and it's all thanks to you. Thank you, Mario. We have to do something special. Let's bake a cake for Mario. And so, like, as a kid, I just loved that. It's like, wow, this is so great. And so I didn't realize, though, until I was much older and pursuing on-camera acting, that voiceover was really what I wanted to do. Mind you, I still do some on-camera acting, and I'd love to do more of it, but I consider myself very into video games and animation compared to maybe some other people. I don't know. Um, so that's why I kind of pivoted towards this area, and I just love it. Also, I don't have to memorize, which is kind of nice.
Okay, well, again, those who don't know me, my name is Frank, also known as Nashtaters. You can find me on YouTube, Nashtaters Gaming. I just want to say thank you, Christy, for coming by. And when Diggs informed me that I'll be interviewing the voice actor behind Ayaka, I was super stoked because Ayaka is one of my favorite units in the entire game. And those of you who watch my channel probably know that and can concur that. Also, I just want you to know that ever since a kid, I've been kind of like you. I used to make a lot of noises when I'm playing with my Lego or my bootleg G.I. Joe figures. And before I came to America, surprisingly, we were so poor that I didn't even have any toys. So I had to play with like those firecracker bottle rocket sticks. And I would put like little, I would make like clay and I would make like ancient Chinese weapons on top of it. And I would just make noises to myself. And I would, technically speaking, doing voice acting at that time. So I was always inspired to hopefully one day become a voice actor myself. And actually, I still hope one day maybe I can aspire to participate in something where my voice acting or inspired voice acting would take place. But my questions really would be for those people out there who are young and maybe thinking about getting into voice acting, what are some ways they can actually get off to a good start, or would there be any educations involved in voice acting?
Absolutely. I think with voice acting, there's just so many different areas within voice acting in and of itself that you have to really kind of know which market you want to try to pursue first. There are absolutely talented actors out there that have flourished in multiple categories, but for me personally, I started more so in commercial stuff. So I've been professionally voice acting since 2011, but I haven't really started pursuing more of these types of credits until more so these years. So even though I was auditioning for it, I was booking commercials, and that's because I had been taking a lot of classes specifically for commercial. And then finally, ironically, the classes didn't help with commercial. I kind of started coming up with my own way of doing it, and that's what ultimately worked the best. And then after I felt comfortable in that area, Then I really started pivoting more towards video games and interactive, and I'm finding that I'm finding a stride in that category, specifically because I started taking more on-camera acting classes again. So
Okay.
you even though you can take like specific voiceover classes, and it's good to learn about like mic placement and stuff. Like right now, this is not perfect. My mic is to the side. Um, at the end of the day, it is just acting. So for me, a huge moment in my career was after I retook some on camera classes. It reminded me when I was in the booth that I'm speaking to somebody else. And it's challenging because as the actor, you have to envision the person you're talking to. How far away are they? What's the situation happening near you? Is there a war happening? What's the reaction that you're getting from their eyes when you're saying something? Like if you're telling them like, oh, so and so's okay, is that a good response or a bad response for them? Did they want that person to be okay, or were they an enemy? So you have to kind of make these choices and see what their choices are in the background. Specifically with War of the Visions, that game is a little different in that it's more so playing to the music. So when I recorded the lines for Ayaka, they had the CV, where it's light of healing, shine down upon the wounded. And like but it was timed specifically because it had already been recorded in Japanese. So with that type of voiceover, it's really looking towards matching somebody else's performance more so and finding the correct timing. So that's kind of more so a different pivot in a sense too. So you got to really find what you're passionate about and really just kind of go towards that. If you want agents, they definitely want you to book commercials because that is where it's the most lucrative per se. And then from there you can kind of branch out.
What would you say your favorite part of being a voice actor is?
For me, I just like being to being able to be pretty much any character. This past year I've been a zombie. I've been a Western, shoot 'em up in Shadowverse. I get to be, Ayaka and all these other fun characters that if I was on camera, I wouldn't be able to do. On camera is very much just my voice.
I
Here's
think
who
you
I
could
am
pull
as a
zombie
person
off.
versus
Yeah, I was gonna say.
yeah.
I want to see some
I mean,
zombie voice acting right now.
or you got your Chi-Chi, which is go find it. Like dead inside.
That's
um
funny.
but yeah, but it's like yeah, you just have different things, and like you can't, I could be like a boy if I wanted to, and that's also super fun.
That's
um
crazy. You just turn it
so that's
on.
why I love
Wow.
it. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
I love it. And I didn't realize either as a child I used to do impressions all the time. And as an adult, I'm learning more that that's not something that everybody does. Mind you, you don't have to do that to be in voiceover at all. Um but I kind of just assumed a lot of people could do that. So, yeah.
You've been doing it since you were young then.
So then, yeah, I was gonna say, at what age did you start realizing this is what you want to do for a living?
When I was a kid, I definitely was doing more like acting type stuff. But I live in LA, and ironically, my parents didn't want to drive me to any sort of acting things that would require being stuck in traffic. So I waited until I graduated high school to really start pursuing my career on my own. But I definitely did take like a few classes here and there as a kid for acting, and I could see then that there was a passion for that. I didn't shift into voiceover though until a little bit later because on camera I kept getting weird feedback that it was like, "Oh, you're too animated. You're too animated." So I ran into somebody when I was doing background work on a TV show, and they were like, "Oh, I just started taking these voiceover classes," and I was like, "Oh, really? Why am I not doing that?" And so I started doing that, and I just loved it. So yeah.
That's awesome.
You can start at any age. You can start at any age. There's a lovely lady named Lori Weaver. She's in Trials of Mana. She just started a few years ago. It doesn't matter how old you are. There's also people that I know that are literally 18 and they're already booking big games.
You
Like
just said
Valeria
Trials of Mana,
Rodriguez,
and you
Zach Aguilar.
you probably got chat going nuts now over Trials of Mana because that is a very popular game in our community. Particularly, it's not a Final Fantasy, but it's definitely in our realm.
Yeah.
What would you say your favorite character you've ever voiced is?
Ooh. That's a tricky question because each character is kind of a different facet of my own personality. I'd actually have to say Ayaka herself is probably the closest to me as a person. Um, just kind of very like joyful and wanting to help others. I voiced Chi-Chi in Genshin Impact. That character is just kind of sarcastic almost. I know the character isn't truly sarcastic, but it's like delivery is very deadpan and dry, and I feel that energy. Elliot, who I played in Trials of Mana, was super fun because I get to have like that innocent, like childlike wonder. Um, so it really just depends. I can't pinpoint like a particular character. And I love Selena from Shadowverse because putting on Southern accent was super fun. The director for that game was top notch with knowing how to pronounce things as well. So if I got something wrong, he'd be like, hold on, honey. It's you're gonna say it like this. And I was like, oh, okay. In a good way, in a good way, in a good
Nice.
way.
I talk like that every day, anyways. People say I have a southern accent, but I'm not sure if I really do. But
You
anyways,
just you just you
the
just
la-
you just overemphasized it right there, and I don't know if you know that that was intentional.
All right, you got me. You got me. All right. But on the last question that I asked about, where to good start and things like that. So you're basically saying that I still have a chance at voice acting, even though I'm super old. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Weirdly enough, I find there's so many casting calls on Twitter, and I had no idea. And
Really?
a lot of friends that I know that got into voice acting through like character work as opposed to commercial work found those jobs through Twitter. So if you
Okay.
kind of follow other voice actors, I find oftentimes they retweet casting calls. I think if you even just look up the hashtag for voice acting, like half the times there's something there. So that's a good place. I know there's pay to play websites. I don't personally recommend them. I actually did not start on pay to play, and I don't criticize anybody that does. I just know myself as a person, and I knew if I started to pay somebody to wear myself out, it would burn me out before I even got anywhere. I would be so frustrated that I was spending money and not making money and just constantly sending in all these auditions to try to get somewhere that I wouldn't like it. And then of course there are places that offer classes for their like casting places that also offer classes. So those are good resources for getting to know what style those studios look into. It's not a guarantee of employment at all, but I know that that can help people as well build connections and really understand what a specific studio is looking for.
So
Awesome.
do you think Nash could do like a man, a mic, and a mission, or should he be building a closet in his house to crawl into and practice his voice acting?
The most important thing is actually just having a good room tone. So you don't need to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on a microphone. My friend Karina Betker, who is Paimon in Genshin Impact, does not have an expensive microphone like I have. This one is like $1,000. They are still using a AT 2020 microphone, and they're recording Genshin Impact on that, which is rare,
Wow.
mind you. Like
Wow.
COVID, if COVID was not happening, they would be in a studio recording with a microphone even more expensive than this one. But the studios have been willing to work with that. So it's more so again about like the quietness of the room. Like right here, I'm probably getting an echo from the staircase. I apologize. But like if you pivot to like my booth right here, it's all sound treated and quiet. So you won't be having, those interruptions or that echoey sound. So you can absolutely start as long as you have like a quiet space and a microphone to record it. And interestingly enough, I went to a panel a few years ago, and for Elena of Avalor, Jillian Rose Reed, she booked her character from her iPhone. She
No.
was
Wow.
She was working on the TV show Awkward, and she got the audition, and she just recorded it on her iPhone, submitted it, and booked the part. So, as far as auditions go, like, yeah, they wanna make sure you don't sound like you're in a tin booth. Some studios are way more particular than others about what the sound quality will sound like, but if you're just starting out, like, as long as your space is quiet and your acting is good, you have a chance.
Awesome. That's good to hear. So I want to know, do you play any of the games that you do voice acting for?
I do. I've been playing Genshin Impact a lot because that game just came out, and I knew when I booked that role, I really wanted to play it because I love Zelda, and it looks very similar to that. The gameplay is different, and I had no idea how different until I started playing it, and I'm grateful for a few of my voice acting friends, including the director. He also streams on Twitch. His name is Mr. Underscore BR Urgel, BRGL. And because of that group with Corey and Christian Banis, we've been able to kind of figure out like the theory crafting for that particular game, which I didn't even know about. And ironically, that's one of the barriers for why I didn't actually start playing Final Fantasy Brave Exvius War of the Visions, was because I knew there was a lot of theory crafting, if you will, that kind of was involved. But I'm not completely ignorant. When the game came out, I immediately went on YouTube, looked for videos, and instantly found out that, Ayaka is like a 5-star healer or whatever. I don't
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, that's awesome. I
Please,
like
please
being
tell me it wasn't
the
my video.
healers." I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Digs, digs, digs.
I
Yeah.
I made a video about how much I hated Ayaka because she killed me so
Yeah.
much. And
Yes.
the community has wanted me to apologize to you about it. But I've gotten over my Ayaka hatred, and I actually like her and use her a lot now. The reality is I just didn't pull her when I couldn't, use her. So I was just getting stomped by it.
I was joking with Nash that like sometimes you can have a team that's all
Mhm.
healers, and yeah, it takes longer to, whittle down the enemy, but
Mhm.
like you're not gonna die.
No. That's what we're experiencing right now, is because they just released Yuna and she's a healer, and
Yeah.
it's just long fights going on. So I'm curious, since you are a gamer, it sounds like, and you've played video games, growing up, what was your favorite video game?
Okay, growing up, it was absolutely Super Mario 64. As I got a little older and Okami came out, I've kind of shifted my alliance to that a little bit. I absolutely love that game. I also, after Super Mario Galaxy 2 came out, sometimes pivot to say it's that game. And then there's other games that I'm like, they're not my favorite game, but I still love them. Like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, I love that game, and I don't know why. I got motion sickness when I was playing that as a young one, where my mom and maybe this is why I still like that game. My mom was like, "You are never playing that game ever again," because I legit got vertigo. Like I was sick for 3 days, couldn't go to school. She's like, "You're never playing that game again." And I was like, "Uh-huh." And then like a few years later I bought it and she didn't know which game it was, and I was like,
That's
like, and
funny.
I didn't get sick though. I knew not to play it for more than like 2 hours at a time because the intense speed of that game just could not work well with my system, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. A lot of great
Oh, and
games there.
Zelda.
Zelda,
Oh,
of
and Zelda
course.
too. Yeah, I've played all the Zelda games. Pretty much any Nintendo IP I've played. Yeah.
Would you say, have you ever voiced well, I guess Trials of Mana technically isn't Nintendo, right?
Correct,
Even
yeah.
though it was on the Nintendo system a long time ago. Would you ever want to do voice acting for Nintendo, or have you already?
Nintendo themselves, I have not. I've worked for Square Enix before on Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon Everybody, as well as what you just mentioned with Trials of Mana. Those were both Nintendo releases. But like Nintendo themselves, I'd love to be in a Nintendo game like Fire Emblem, or you know what I wish they'd bring back? Like I mean, I would not be in this game, but like F-Zero, like that would be
Oh
so
Oh
yeah.
my
fun.
gosh, yes.
F-Zero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Check it off. 2021 F-Zero
Yeah,
remake.
you
right
could
there.
do it.
Let's do it.
You could do
Fire
it.
Emblem, the Fire Emblem series. If you get in that, that would be awesome for you because I love that series. And I think a lot of fans out there love Fire Emblem series. They're awesome games.
For sure. Well, in Smash too, like that would be
Yeah,
huge.
Smash would be really
Yeah.
big. So, on that note, what is the most challenging aspect of voice acting as a career?
It is being careful of your own health. And I say that with mindfulness of your voice. So if you're like in a session and you're supposed to be screaming and yelling, and thankfully that was not the case with this game at all, you could really hurt your voice. So you have to be aware of where that pain is and how to stop and tell people no. You know, you don't want to ever injure yourself and mess up your career because of that.
Does it
So
get that
there's
intense?
definitely oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, think about it. If you start screaming for more than 10 minutes, you're going to get lightheaded. You need water. It can really hurt your voice for sure.
Wow.
So, what you're telling me is I need to stop singing Celine Dion while I'm showering really loud to maintain my beautiful voice, right?
Singing doesn't hurt your chords. Like that's just more so like exercising it. I mean, I'm sure if you're singing incorrectly, there's always a possibility to harm your voice, but no, it's more so screaming. It's like the friction that's happening that causes that.
That sounds
All right, I
painful.
gotcha.
um,
Yeah.
we are almost at the
Thankfully I haven't had that.
good. We are almost at the end of our interview time. I'd like to give you another opportunity just to let people know where to find you. So if you just like to kind of say goodbye and let them know where they can find you at.
Yeah, I am on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and inside the voice actors booth on YouTube. That's all. Well, minus the last one. That's all at Christie Cate VO with both C's. So yeah.
All right. And then Nash, where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at Nashtaters Gaming on YouTube. I do have Instagram, but unfortunately, just like her, I don't really use it as much as I should be doing. Hopefully, in the future, I will be also joining the Twitch community when I will be streaming perhaps other games.
What about the voice acting community?
Oh, yes, the voice acting community. Yeah, I would like to join the voice acting community myself. Maybe start one on YouTube or something.
I want to see a VTube of you. Is that what they call it now? Vlog your way as you become a voice actor
vlog,
now.
yeah.
Christy, thank you so much again for
Yes.
joining us. It's been absolutely wonderful having you and talking to you. And chat, thanks so much for chilling. And we're gonna have Oron J and Justin, our community manager, up next after this short advertisement.